In the annals of human history, few events have left as indelible a mark as the Black Death. This dangerous, troublesome, and strangely attractive plague swept across medieval Europe with a ferocity that still haunts our collective memory. As we delve into this dark chapter of our past, prepare yourself for a tale of unimaginable horror and devastation. The Black Death, also known as the bubonic plague, emerged from the shadows of history in the mid-14th century. Like a sinister specter, it crept across continents, leaving a trail of death and despair in its wake. This merciless killer spared no one, rich or poor, young or old, pious or sinful. It was an equal opportunity destroyer, a grim reaper that harvested souls with terrifying efficiency. Picture, if you will, the bustling cities and towns of medieval Europe. Streets once filled with the clamor of daily life now lay eerily silent. The air, thick with the stench of decay, carried whispers of doom. In every corner, in every home, death lurked, waiting to claim its next victim. This was not just a plague, it was an apocalypse made flesh. The symptoms of the Black Death were as horrifying as they were unmistakable. Those unfortunate enough to contract the disease first experienced a fever that burned like the fires of hell. Then came the swellings, grotesque, painful lumps that appeared in the groin, armpits, and neck. These buboes, as they were called, were a death sentence written on the skin. As the disease progressed, the victim's flesh would turn black, giving rise to the plague's ominous name. But perhaps the most terrifying aspect of the Black Death was its inexplicable nature. In an age of superstition and limited scientific understanding, the plague seemed like a punishment from God. Some believed it was carried on the wind, others thought it was spread by cats and dogs. The truth, that it was transmitted by fleas living on rats, would not be discovered for centuries. This ignorance only added to the panic and despair that gripped society. The scale of devastation wrought by the Black Death is almost beyond comprehension. In just a few short years, it wiped out over half of Europe's population. Entire villages were abandoned, their inhabitants either dead or fled. Cities became ghost towns, with only the bravest or most foolhardy remaining to tend to the sick and bury the dead. The social fabric of medieval society, already fragile, was torn apart by this invisible enemy. Yet, in the midst of this horror, there was a strange allure to the plague. It inspired a morbid fascination, a dark romanticism that has persisted through the ages. Artists and writers have long been drawn to the dramatic potential of the Black Death, using it as a backdrop for tales of heroism, tragedy, and the human spirit's resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. The plague also had profound and lasting effects on European society. With so many dead, the survivors found themselves in a world turned upside down. The old feudal order began to crumble as laborers, now in short supply, demanded better wages and working conditions. The Church, unable to explain or prevent the catastrophe, saw its authority questioned. In the crucible of the Black Death, the seeds of the Renaissance and the Reformation were sown. As the plague raged on, desperate measures were taken to combat its spread. Cities imposed strict quarantines, forbidding anyone from entering or leaving. The sick were often left to die alone, abandoned even by their families. Plague doctors, clad in their iconic beaked masks filled with aromatic herbs, moved through the streets like harbingers of doom. Their treatments, based on medieval medical theories, were often as dangerous as the disease itself. One of the most troubling aspects of the Black Death was how it brought out both the best and worst in humanity. While some risked their lives to care for the sick and maintain order, others gave in to their basest instincts. Looters ransacked abandoned homes, and scapegoats, often Jews or other marginalized groups, were persecuted and murdered in misguided attempts to stop the plague. The Black Death also left an indelible mark on the collective psyche of Europe. The constant presence of death led to a preoccupation with mortality that manifested in art, literature, and philosophy. The famous Danse Macabre motif, depicting death as a great equalizer, leading people from all walks of life in a dance to the grave, became a popular artistic theme. This morbid fascination with death would continue to influence European culture for centuries to come. As the plague began to recede, it left behind a changed world. The survivors emerged into a landscape transformed by loss and grief. Yet, from this devastation, new opportunities arose. With fewer people competing for resources, those who survived often found themselves in improved economic circumstances. This redistribution of wealth and power would help pave the way for the social and cultural changes that would define the coming centuries. The legacy of the Black Death extends far beyond its immediate impact. It reshaped the demographic makeup of Europe, altered economic systems, and influenced everything from art and literature to science and religion. In many ways, the modern world we inhabit was born in the aftermath of this catastrophic event. Even today, the specter of the Black Death continues to haunt us. In an age of global pandemics and emerging diseases, the lessons of this medieval plague remain relevant. It serves as a stark reminder of our vulnerability to nature, whims, and the importance of scientific understanding in combating disease. As we reflect on this dark chapter of human history, we are confronted with the fragility of our existence and the resilience of the human spirit. The Black Death was a cataclysm that nearly brought civilization to its knees. Yet from its ashes, a new world emerged. It stands as a testament to humanity's ability to endure, adapt, and ultimately triumph over even the most devastating of calamities. In the end, the story of the Black Death is not just one of death and despair, but also of survival and renewal. It is a grim reminder of our mortality, yet also a celebration of life's tenacity. As we face our own modern plagues and challenges, we would do well to remember the lessons of this most dangerous, troublesome, and strangely attractive chapter in human history.